is out here throwing stuff out. That answer your question? Anybody else? Yes. The first thing that I published, thank you for asking that, because when I was wounded and was in the hospital, I was sent. I was trying to stay in the Marine Corps at the time, and I was sent to the Secretary of the Navy's office on medical hold for a year. I was having this surgery and trying to decide what we were doing. And on the one hand, I worked in what's called the White House liaison section, where we did all of the communications to the president and a lot of them to the Secretary of the Navy about the Marine Corps, other than tactical stuff. And it would come to us and we'd do replies and point papers and these sorts of things. And I'm looking around the Pentagon at that time. I mean, I was 25 years old. I'd just been promoted to captain. I was looking around and there were not many Marines in the Pentagon. And I was saying, what's wrong here? They have the highest percentage of casualties in the center of the war, and they've got nobody or very few people over here participating in the process. So I did a lot of research on my own. I wrote 3 full-length magazine articles during the year that I was on my own rather than on my job. And the first one was an article looking at the goals and missions of the Marine Corps. Why do we have a Marine Corps? What is their job, their mission stated in legislation versus what they actually do? And, the legislative mission of the Marine Corps is amphibious warfare. And I was looking at that and I was going, that's not what the Marine Corps really does. That's a part of what the Marine Corps does. But Vietnam War, no real amphibious warfare from there. World War I, there was no amphibious warfare from there. Korea, they had the Incheon landing, and it was all land warfare. The reason we have the Marine Corps is that it is enforcing the readiness that can go any place in the world as a total homogeneous combat unit with everything in it. Fixed air, helicopters, all the weapons on the non-nuclear side are ready to go in 24 hours. I wrote this article, and the bottom part of the article was, does this really matter? And the answer was, yeah, because the Marine Corps didn't have any generals at all officially assigned to any of the joint staffs. The Commandant of the Marine Corps wasn't a full member of the Joint Chiefs of Staff at that time. So I wrote it, and the lid blew off on the Commandant of the Marine Corps. I'm a 25-year-old captain, but he was like, what is this captain doing? Saying this stuff when we got to go down into the tank and face our fellow Joint Chiefs of Staff people, and they think we orchestrated this and whatever. And I'm going, wow, 25 years old. If I hadn't read that article, I'd have to wait another 20 years before I could make that point in any sort of discussion. So that really got me interested in the idea that you could fight with your brain. I was 8 years as a boxer inside the ring, as an infantry officer. I was having to adjust the fact that I could do it. And wow, the power of the written word is real. So I wrote 3 articles then, and then when I left to go into law school, I started representing an individual who had been convicted of homicides in Vietnam with a African-American Marine, 10 days in combat, obeying the order of shooting some civilians. He was convicted of murder. The person who gave the order was not. And I wrote a piece about why all of this was wrong. Represented him for 6 years. And I won a legal writing award at Georgetown. So I'm going, look what you can do to assemble your thoughts and put the issues out and engage in debate. Sometimes you win, sometimes you don't win, but people need to hear these sorts of things. So long answer to your question, but thanks for it. sorry, I can't hear you. I can't hear you. I've got noise coming over here.
So, earlier you said that they closely examine where place females in the Navy, but you didn't.
I'm sorry?
Earlier you said that they closely examine where they place females in the Navy, right?
So earlier you said you closely examined where you put females in the Navy. And what were the results of that? Or where do you think they should be placed?
Right? Well, what I said was we did a study that examined the roles at that time, and we went out to the Navy leadership and got their views on where that could be increased and changed, and we opened up more billets to women in the Navy than any secretary at that time in history. And it has evolved since then. If I had a problem with it, I would have said so. I mean, I've supported what the military has decided on those issues as Secretary of the Navy and when I was in the Senate. Okay? Yes.
Okay, can you hear me fine?
Yes, I can.
Okay. I really appreciated that you shared about how you, the sort of two tracks within your career. That there's been this writing piece that's been very exciting that you found in the politics and what's happened there. As an English teacher, I'd love to hear about how you found that in sort of the other tracks, how this writing and your relationship with it has evolved. What does that look like when you were a 15-year-old? Sort of finding yourself wanting to, didn't know what you wanted to do, but where were you with writing at that point, to who you are now as a writer and then a little bit about, I guess, how your self as a writer has informed you as the other character, the other person that you have found yourself.
That's an excellent question. Thank you. I've always been an avid. My young education was very turbulent because I was changing schools so often, and I fell back into reading. That I was a woman who was interviewing me one time used the word I'm an autodidact, which she called me, meaning I basically taught myself, and I kind of did that because when I was in school, if I was interested in something, I was really interested in it, and when I wasn't interested in something, I really wasn't interested in it. And then at the Naval Academy, we had a mandatory engineering degree, and I was there to become an officer, not to become an engineer, but really first class that was able to choose a minor, in addition to the engineering major, and I chose literature as my minor. I had, at the Naval Academy at that time, we had some very talented literature professors who had come into the military during World War II, and then had stayed as civilian instructors, professors after that. So we had I was able to have a very strong literature minor. It was almost a double major. I loved the people, reading the people that I thought were the greats and that we really taught. Faulkner, Hemingway, Steinbeck, Graham Greene, those were the real powerhouses at the time. And, so I always had an interest in literature, and I came back to literature, and I've said at one point that I learned more about leadership from studying literature than I did from studying, leadership in a class. Because what is leadership? When you're reading good literature, it is about human beings, acting within themselves or in conflict resolving the conflict, and it goes to human motivation. And I think the literature and also the ability that I gained as a result from having to move so often when I was young, because in so many different environments, helped me incredibly when I was leading people under some extremely difficult situations in combat. And then the transition, when I actually decided to write novels, was to, when you are reading, say, someone else I would consider to be great, when you're reading Hemingway, and I no longer was reading Hemingway just for enjoyment. I was reading it because I'm conducting a direct tutorial. I'm learning how did he structure a scene, what did he mean, what did he take out, where was he using certain words, what did he mean when he said that he learned to write by studying Cézanne, paint, movable features. So literature has always had a part, writing has always had a part. I think one of the differences in the time that I spent in the Senate and when most other people that I've been around go to the Senate is that I came to the Senate as a writer, and from a totally different viewpoint. And it was not just having built a career with all the stepping stones of a usual political career. And what do you do when you write? You have to solve things. You write a novel, you got to bring a novel to a conclusion. You have to resolve things. And we got a lot done. Very proud of the time I was in the Senate, the things that we got done, that we were able to do. But I don't know if that fully answers your question, but the connection was great.
Yeah, that's great. Thank you. I have a follow-up too. If you could take care of like what we see as the partisanship problem that exists, what book would you have everyone read? Is there a book you think? Okay, you said leadership.
I understand the question. If we could take partisanship,
If you were to solve the sort of gridlock we see now.
if we wanted to resolve
Yeah.
the divides,
Yeah.
what one book would I?
Well, maybe you could do a whole curriculum if you want.
I think we're still waiting for that book. Thank you. Yes.
Speaking of books, what do you think is like the best piece of work in your opinion?
The best piece of work that
Just writing in general. Like, what's your favorite book? What do you think is the best writing of all time?
the best writing of all time.
No pressure.
One book of my books or all books?
All books.
Yeah, well, I can't answer that. You know, and I really, sometimes I read 3 or 4 books at the same time. You know, just depending on the mood I'm in. I'll read a chapter, another one. But I do hope people read. You know, the problem we have right now is actually reading has become passé because we get so much stuff. We're just inundated with communications, film, et cetera, et cetera. And there's power in the words. All right.
If you feel
Is there anything new that you're working on?
Yes, actually. Well, first of all, I have a fellowship at Notre Dame, which is in the national security side, and I write periodically. In fact, if anyone wants to know my views on what happened toward the end of Afghanistan, there's a piece I wrote about a month ago on what happened on a webpage called the National Interest. But I'm doing that kind of writing. In terms of creative writing, I have two film projects in Hollywood right now that I'm working on. One is an adaptation of my novel Lost Soldiers, which was set in Vietnam in the mid-90s. The time that I spent a lot of time in Vietnam, all through the 90s. that book we have out here, an adaptation that we're working on, and another one is one I just don't want to talk about yet, but I just said it, and I don't want to jinx myself. But it's one I wanted to like for very long. Going once.
What's the best and worst thing about running for president?
What's the best and worst thing about running for president? Well, first, the best and worst thing for running for political office in general, once you get to like the Senate level, is the best is there are ways where you can get your views out sometimes. The trick about running at that level or the presidential level is you can start with this, this message that you want to be your message when you run, and about 2 days later, the other side is throwing all of the counter arguments that take it, that put you off balance, and you can't even talk about it, answering all of the accusations that come from nowhere, half the time are not true. But you can, if you have a persistence and you can stay with it, you can get your message through. I know when I ran for the Senate, I had 3 basic things that I wanted to put on the table, and we got that message through finally. The best thing about running is if you win. Once I was elected, now, just so you know, I didn't plan a campaign like the normal campaign is planned. I just got extremely upset with where the country was going. This was the war in Iraq at the time, and I had written strongly that this was a strategic blunder before we invaded. And also what had happened with Katrina, with Hurricane Katrina, when I saw how the government flooded it, just wanting to see people who would put things on the table and get things fixed. And so I announced for the Senate 9 months to the day before the election with no money and no staff. And I was running against an individual who had just received the highest number of votes for president in the Conservative Political Action Conference, Senator Giordano. And I was 33 points behind, and I called an individual who had been one of my radio operators in Vietnam. I had 6 radio operators, 5 of them became casualties. Back, I was on going off. Tattoo on the stump said, "Cut up without a dime." Was the night manager of Tootsie's Orchid when I was in Nashville, Tennessee. I had him come out and said, "I need somebody to talk to me, no matter what." I had him come out, we got a Jeep, drove around for 9 months, and we won. Then I could put these things into place. We have to have a different look at what we're doing with the nation. We have to focus on the nation. We have to change this formula in Iraq. We need to work on criminal justice reform, which people, my political advisors were telling me was occurring. Suicide, political suicide, we can talk about. We got that up into the national discussion. But those sorts of things are what makes it work. Running for president is money, money, money. One individual, if it's just one of us, you're limited on how much money you can contribute. $2,500 to you could go to form a PAC, one of these independent, so-called independent PACs, and you can put millions and millions, and that's what's going on now. It's really affecting the credibility of our political process. I think we're done. Is it good or not? Take one more. And, okay, thank you very much.